are listening to the Savage Fincast, episode 33, Brappa-Lortch.
Chicago. A criminal mastermind called Overlord held our city in his terrifying grip. Ordinary cops were losing the battle against Overlord's super freaks and mutants. Then, a miracle happened. When I found him, he had no memory of his past. I helped him find an identity and a life. Now we have a fighting chance. Now we have the dragon.
This is the Savage Fincast, coming to you live from the center of the earth. I am Jim Purcell.
I'm Craig Olson.
I'm Raven Perez.
And we are back again for another fantastic episode of the Savage Fincast. I'm glad you could come aboard. Before we begin, let's talk a little bit about our week or our month. Raven, what's been up with you?
Geez. For the month, not a whole hell of a lot. I guess, we won't get into gaming too much because I know it sends Craig up a wall, but...
I was going to get into gaming.
Oh?
It's fine. I won't have anything to add to it besides...
Did you get your code, Raven?
No! I feel gotta tell you, I feel like as a webcomic artist, I feel like the last guy to lose his virginity. Because everyone around me is getting, from their readers are sending them Smash Brothers download codes. And I'm like the last kid on the street. I never did get one. The demo's out today for everyone.
It is.
So I never did get it.
I don't even know what you guys are talking about.
Super Smash Brothers for 3DS.
See, Craig, what it is, and for the listeners who may not know, Nintendo has their fighting game. It's the Nintendo game with every single one of their characters in it. You've got Mario, Link, the Pokemon characters, Zelda, Animal Crossing, Metroid. They put all their eggs in this one basket.
All the franchises you know nothing about.
Yeah, 40 characters in this fighting game.
42, if the secret characters are all real.
Well, they also they bring in characters from other companies because it's such a big deal, like Pac-Man.
Right, they got Pac-Man and Sonic and Mega Man.
So so it's enormous. It's a huge deal to have all these characters in one game. They don't come out all the time. They come out maybe every 5 years or something.
5 or 6, yeah.
So
that's about right. This is the fourth game, and this has been coming out since 1999.
Yeah, so very rare do they come out. So it's a huge deal. And what me and Jim are referring to, very bitter am I, is Nintendo gave out special codes for certain Club Nintendo members.
For game demos.
For game demos, yeah. And so these cats could play the game before anyone else, and obviously the idea was to build hype. And as a webcomic artist, these people are plugged into thousands of readers, and everyone around me was getting these codes, and I never did get one. I'm so hurt.
I got a code.
Did you?
I had an internet friend who threw up his codes on a forum, and he said first come first serve, and I managed to get it in first.
Oh.
Yeah, so I've been playing it for a week, and it is rad as hell, especially on the 3DS.
I am so jealous.
I'm surprised about. I thought the control scheme would be really awkward compared to a proper controller, but it's been great. A lot of fun.
I'm so jealous. Green-eyed monster over here. I hate you. This Fincast is over.
Mega Man's not as good as I thought he'd be.
Well, if that's the worst thing that happens to us today, we're going to be okay.
Yeah.
How's Pac-Man?
There's only 5 characters, and it's Mario, Link, Pikachu, Villager, and Mega Man.
I'm jealous.
Which wasn't a bad mix, but yeah.
I just want to cry.
Now, the full game will be out in a month. Can't wait for that. The demo really put me over the top to definitely get it on launch day.
Right on. I was a day one launch purchaser anyway. Like I said, These are it's a big event. To put it in terms, if you don't know what it's like, it's got the same impact as the first 3 Halo games. When they hit, there were midnight releases and lines and people sleeping, on the streets to get their copy first.
This will be a million seller for Nintendo. It's a big deal for Nintendo.
It's already sold 1 million the first week in Japan.
Yep, it's huge.
I like how you're like, if you don't know what it's like Halo.
Yeah, it's
I
like
don't even know what
video
Halo
game.
is like.
I thought you were gonna like say like some Savage Dragon issue.
Oh, well,
If you don't know what it's like another video game you never played.
let me see. If you don't know what it's like
multiversity, okay?
It's like that Nicki Minaj video. Remember how when that hit, everybody had seen it and had an opinion on it? And
I have no idea who that is.
are you serious?
No, I don't know.
Oh, no.
With the butt?
I also don't like music videos with butts.
What?
Not a butt guy.
I mean, huh? I'm dumbfounded. It's like you just told me you hate bacon. Do you hate bacon?
I do like bacon.
Okay.
And most pig parts.
I was scared for a minute. Well, Craig, I'm sorry.
So that's me and Raven's week. How are you, Craig?
Oh, man. I don't even know. I feel like such an old person. I didn't know anything you guys are talking about there. But
well, now how was your vacation?
Oh, I can talk comics.
Well, vacation was good. This ties into comics.
Oh, right.
As you guys know, I wasn't around for the last episode, which, by the way, you guys killed it. It's kind of nice to actually listen. Yeah, one time. I really enjoy doing this, but to be able to sit down and not know what's gonna be said or anything like that, it's kind of a fun experience. So that was cool. Raven, do I really sound like the way you made me sound? I sound like a dopey John Lennon.
No, that's just how Raven sounds when he does impressions.
My impressions are almost always horrible and inaccurate.
Oh, man, I was cracking up when I heard that. And now I also know how listeners feel when we screw up like characters' names or like,
oh yeah,
who's that guy?
When you yell at it,
I was yelling back at you guys, but you didn't hear me.
We needed you. We called out for you.
It made me feel all warm.
And he looked down and said no.
Good watchman.
But yeah, I went up to Montreal and I stopped by one of my favorite stores of all time. We end up going there maybe every couple years, and we always stop by the Drawn and Quarterly store in Montreal, which is one of the coolest comic book stores. It's all like...
Oh, what do they have, their own storefront?
Yeah, they have their own store. It's been there for a long time now. And they have all their books in there, and then they have like a lot of books like Fantagraphics and like those type of books, a lot of underground comics and all that. And it's just a really cool store. It's got like every type of underground comic you'd want.
So they don't just do Drawn and Quarterly?
Not just, yep. They don't
but it's all like indie.
Yeah, it's all indie. Yep.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah, it's awesome. I ended up buying 2 Fantagraphic books actually, not Drawn and Quarterly, but I didn't even know that they had like hardcovers out for the EC library that are like really well done, like design wise.
I thought Dark Horse did those.
No, I don't know. I mean, this is the first I've seen these hardcovers, and they're all like, I don't know, they have like 7 or 8 of them out, and they're all per like artist or cartoonist or whatever. I got Corpse on the Imjin, which is by Harvey Kurtzman, which is all of his war comics, like Two-Fisted Tales and stuff. And
nice.
His stuff's just mind-blowing. His art is incredible, and his stories at the time, they weren't just like, I don't know, like patriotic stories or anything like that, or propaganda type stories. They were more like, war sucks and, people get hurt, and like they were just more based in reality. Like you saw like, North Koreans and how they suffered losses and stuff in these little like tales. And the tale's only like 10 pages long or so, and they're just awesome.
Wow, it's surprisingly mature. I didn't actually know that Kurtzman did that.
Oh yeah, I mean he served in the army too, so he had a background in that. But just the artwork alone is worth the price of the book. It's just amazing. And then I got Taint the Meat. It's the Humanity.
Nice.
And that's by Jack Davis's kind of EC Crypt Keeper type stuff, which is pretty cool. But yeah, definitely check those things out on Amazon or your local funny book store. They're really well put together. The design of the hardcovers are amazing.
When I saw that you had put up a picture, I had no idea. I don't like to Facebook creep because I like to talk to people, and I knew we were going to talk about your vacation on the Fincast, but I wanted, when I saw the poutine or whatever they call it, I was like, oh, he's in Canada, okay.
Yeah.
I got a Canadian buddy that is a hardcore Poontang pimp or whatever. I know I'm saying it.
Yeah.
Poutine. I like saying Poontang.
Just Poontang.
I'm from upstate New York, and poutine's a staple food there too.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
French fries, cheese curds, and gravy.
we got a cheese. Where I lived, we had a cheese factory close by, so cheese curd was a major delicacy.
Gotta understand, for me, mid America here, I'm like, what is this bizarre concoction?
That is, you can get it at McDonald's, you can get it everywhere.
You can make poutine without cheese curd. I mean, it's just fries and gravy.
Wait a minute.
It's not the same.
That's not at McDonald's here, is it?
No.
He means in Canada.
Oh, okay.
Where they have the access.
Okay.
But yeah, it's like everywhere there.
But they have fast food. McDonald's has regional things all the time. I mean, I'm here in New England now, and they have they have the lobster rolls.
Yeah.
A McLobster roll.
Pretty much,
yeah.
Yep.
Has it got like a clown meat in it? Like
I wouldn't touch
it. So yeah, that was about it for me though.
Well, it sounds like it was a kick-ass vacay.
Yeah.
And now you're into the Smash. You're going to get pulled into this world.
So, Jim,
yes.
Did we cover you with the Smash Brothers? Or something else?
I mean, if I want to bring it back to comics, I'm reading this really interesting, called JoJo's Bizarre Adventure.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, I picked up the first volume of the Phantom Blood arc. With JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, of course, is a manga that's been running since 1986. Back during like the early 2000s, they tried to bring it to America by jumping ahead. See, what it is a multi-generational story about vampire hunters.
So Savage Dragon fans, take note. I often say that JoJo is one of the only comics I can think of with that kind of generational thing that Dragon has.
That's very true. I can see the appeal there. Although they do it via time jumps and not really
natural progression.
Yeah. Generally, they'll tell this big story arc, and then when they end it, they'll jump ahead to the next generation.
But it's sons and fathers.
But it is sons and fathers, yeah. Like I said, I just started reading it. I'm reading it from the beginning because when they tried to bring it over, initially they jumped ahead to like the third story arc, to the third generation. They skipped the first two because it had more mass appeal, but it didn't really take. It wasn't until last year when the anime came out, the anime adaptation, that it really became a thing in the U.S. manga culture. So now they're going back and releasing all the first, story arcs.
Cool.
So I'm going back and starting from the beginning. The art's really cool. If you know what Fist of the North Star looks like, it looks a lot like that.
It's very beautiful art if you don't.
Yeah, like really, really buff guys basically beating the shit out of each other. It's
super crosshatched. Like
I used to have a Fist of the North Star NES game.
Yeah.
All right.
Just to tie it back into video games.
It all comes back together. Yeah. This is definitely artistically derived from that style of hyper masculinity.
Well, whenever people are like, it all looks the same, I just whip out the Fist of the North Star or JoJo, and it's like, does this look like Sailor Moon to you?
Does that happen a lot?
Oh, yeah.
Anime all looks the same, yes, most definitely.
And
like any pop culture, there's a baseline that everyone thinks that this is what it looks like, but JoJo, just so you know, Craig, has an art style that's hyper realistic. There's tons of cross-hatching. Everyone has small eyes and small noses and it's all like normal-looking people's faces, unlike, a lot of like manga where they have giant eyes.
Wide eyes.
Yeah, super tiny noses. But like, like Jim said, everybody's super buff. That's the, concept. I see, like, it actually should have super good appeal here in America, you'd think, with like the superhero crowd.
Well, exactly. I mean, I think everyone who was a fan previously knew that there was a hook there for an audience, but it just took forever to actually penetrate the culture.
These guys basically are like X-Men. I mean, they have like all these different abilities.
Yeah.
And so it's like you might have a guy that has like a gun and he can shoot a bullet and then the bullet can be controlled any way he wants after it leaves the gun, like with his mind. Or then you might also have a guy that like, he can control shadows And so, like, if you're in the shadow or whatever, you're completely in his grasp. If you can get to where there's not any shadows, like, he's, not really a good fight. Very X-Men-esque, like, all kinds of really off-the-wall superpowers.
Exactly. Cool. And although I think a lot of those superpowers only sort of came about during, like, that third story arc, the, what's it called? Stardust Crusaders.
Right.
Yeah, that's the third arc that was released back in the early 2000s when they tried to popularize it initially. The actual first two arcs are a lot different. Okay. That's why they took so long to come out here. Is that it's actually more like, in many respects, more like Castlevania.
Oh, okay.
With your Simon Belmont character, basically fighting this guy called Dio, who's like this king of vampires.
Dio?
Yeah, Dio. Oh, that's the other thing about the manga. There are a shit ton of music references.
Yeah.
Every character is like named after a musician.
So, Craig, you're absolutely right, actually.
It is that Dio.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's pretty cool. It's fun as hell. Goofy distractions.
You doing this digitally?
Yeah, there was a copy on Comixology. No, actually, no, it is, but I picked it up on Kindle instead because it was $3 cheaper.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Cute.
So anyway, that's my comics for the week. That's what I was doing.
Nice.
Sweet.
Smash JoJo. Things couldn't be better. So we should probably get on to Erik Larsen news.
Let's do it.
First bit of news, we've got some final details on the Dart statue, which we've been talking about for a while. We brought up a couple times. The September previews catalog had a full-page ad and order information for the statue. Of course, it's made by C.S. Moore Studios, the guys who did the original Dragon Bust and the She-Dragon statue. The solicitation says, Image Comics and the C.S. Moore Studio proudly present, from the pages of Savage Dragon, Erik Larsen's femme fatale Dart, magnificently sculpted by the master of the female form, Claiborne Moore. This stunningly dynamic sculpture portrays Dart in a full battle pose, God sword in hand, swinging to strike with her explosive darts while one foot rests on the head of a defeated foe. This one is not to be missed. Of course, the suggested retail price for this will be $219, which is a lot. I don't know how much statues go for these days.
But it's a beautiful statue, to be fair.
It is.
I'm not a statue person, but I know there's a lot of people out there that collect them, but they are pretty pricey.
They are, but of course, I think they're pretty heavy and large.
Yeah, I think Claiborne Moore stuff is like the real deal. Like, I think it's like really good material. It's not like just some plastic crap.
Right. Apparently, it'll be out in February of 2015. And if you want to order it, it's item code SCP-142309.
Nice.
Yeah, that full page ad in previews is pretty cool too, and it talks about her foot resting on the head of a defeated foe. It's actually firepower for a few issues back when she took over the vicious circle from him, and on the sculpture he's got the two darts stuck in his eyes that exploded. Like, it's pretty cool looking.
It is a nice little touch. Yeah,
I love the fact that was in there. It's kind of like how the Glum was next to the She-Dragon.
Yeah.
So you can always count on those Claiborne Moore to bring it.
Well, you definitely get the sense that they're a fan.
Oh, yeah. It's awesome. I guess the other piece of news is that Larsen is writing screenplays. And this is actually super awesome news just because, we know what this means. It's the Dragon movie. But September 9th, a day that shall forever be live in infamy. Larsen announced on Twitter that he'd completed a screenplay for Savage Dragon the movie. Erik stated, "This is the first step, but it's an important one." No, I'm kidding. Sorry.
Is he like drunk?
Drunken Larsen?
I'm sorry. I was gonna go for some kind of like impression, but I realized it was completely dodgy and like fell apart. Let's take two on that one. But you can leave it in. I don't even care.
Leave it in. That's great.
He said,
Drunken Larsen stated.
Larsen slammed his vodka bottle down and proclaimed, now he said, "This is a first step and it's an important one." Larsen added, "In terms of a movie becoming a reality, it's far from that. Many people write screenplays, few get turned into movies. My expectations are realistic, I think. The chance of it becoming a reality is slim, but it's an exercise. I wanted to do it. And again, on September 16th, not long after, Larsen took to Twitter again to announce that he'd completed a second screenplay, stating that I just finished writing my second screenplay. It's like nothing I've ever written. It's a romantic comedy. No further details were released. However, we are currently speculating that will star
Guy and Dutter,
Flash Mercury, and Powerhouse. It's going to be
I love how, like, all of a sudden he just bangs out 2 screenplays.
Well, I'm sure he's been working on both in tandem for a long time.
Yeah.
You know, having put the Scooby-Doo story to bed after all these years, he's got some. There's no longer a ghost, an albatross around his neck, so he had to get some new albatrosses. I wondered what the new thing we were going to sit around wondering about was going to be.
Yeah. The Savage Dragon movie script is definitely very exciting news.
Oh, yeah.
The fact that something exists that you can shop around helps the cause a lot.
Right.
Also, I mean, I feel like if you've been paying attention, you had seen slowly his interest in that growing anyway, because on Facebook, I forget what movie he said he was watching. I want to say it was like John Carter or Mars. But
right.
he was like, when he said he saw the CG on that, he was like, okay.
We've arrived.
Yeah, that's what he said. I want to say that he was like, all right, the CG guy is next to the real guy, and you can't really tell a difference. Now's the time. And I was like, well, that's cool.
I actually thought we were there 5 years ago, but
I think it's a good time for him to put this out too, honestly. Right. I mean, think about
weird superhero movies are getting big right now.
Superhero movies are huge now. All the Marvel properties are locked up. Right. No one's going to be able to get a Marvel. Either, Marvel owns it or Sony or Fox.
That's a really good point. I hadn't thought of that. Marvel is definitely the most successful line of comic movies, and they are all locked up.
And then DC is all, Warner.
They're all locked up at Warner, and they're doing a horrible job. But
and then what other long-running superhero comics are there? Out there. I mean, you do have them out there, but I'm saying of the top, Hellboy already has a movie out,
and you have Hellboy 3 has been in development hell for years.
Oh yeah, it's mired in all kinds of BS.
Yeah, we're going to see Pacific Rim 2 long before we see that.
So
I mean, think about big superhero stuff that's still going. Spawn had a movie already.
Yeah, but that was ages ago. That doesn't even count. That's like the prehistory of successful superhero movies.
With Blade.
Yeah,
I'm just saying,
kicked it all off.
If you're looking for, kind of an independent superhero that's not locked up at a studio, Dragon's up there. I would think.
Some recent indie comic films have kind of tanked, like Sin City, Dame to Kill For. That tanked.
I saw that tanking a mile away, though.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it ran its course. I think, it had, when I watched it, I thought it was great from an artistic point of view. I didn't really want to see any more after that, though. Right. I was like, it was good. And then they did The Spirit, which is very similar. And it's like, that
one was trash.
Yeah, it just kind of, all right, we've seen this done before now. I don't really need to see it again. I've read the comics. I know those other stories. I had no interest. And I think a lot of people felt the same way. And I think a lot of people that don't even like comics or Sin City or anything like that probably didn't even get the first one, really, and what they were trying to do with it.
I'm trying to think of some recent indie comic movies.
I would agree with Craig. I think that if you want a superhero who is not one of the big 2 corporate comic heroes, honest to God, you couldn't probably do better than Savage Dragon. I mean, he is one of the few triple-digit issue characters out there. Who else? I mean, I can't even think.
Invincible, maybe.
Yeah.
Oh, Invincible needs a movie.
Invincible needs a movie, but honest to goodness,
it's not that much different than a Superman.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I just don't think it's going to drive home. I think when you're talking about superpowered cop versus superpowered criminals, you've got a formula for a movie franchise that is going to be different thematically than anything else. I know that we had the little thing on the forum about R rating versus PG-13.
Right. Eric is convinced that Dragon's a PG-13 property. I'm not convinced, but
Me either.
I'll give him the benefit of the doubt.
I think creative PG-13 is not the same as an R rating. It gets an R for violence in my book, if nothing else.
Right. And I think, on this episode we talked about saving a little bit of time to talk about, what we'd like to see in the movie. So why don't we...
let's hold off on that.
Hold off and
come back to
discuss
that.
It. Yeah. Sounds good.
So we'll get right straight into trivia then.
All right. We didn't do trivia last episode, but episode 31 before it we did, and we were gonna read the answer to that now and then get you a new trivia question. So from episode 31, our question was, name a cartoonist besides Erik Larsen or Bruce Timm that participated in the giant-sized Kung Fu Bible Stories collection that also participated in Larsen and Timm's other project, Fantastic Four, the world's greatest comic magazine. And the answer was Tom Scioli, and of Godland, as you know, and American Barbarian, and Transformers vs. G.I. Joe.
Which is awesome.
Yes, he's really been a rising star this year, and he deserves all of it. And so I'm just going to read the people that responded, because everyone responded with the correct answer. We had Colin Murchison, Michelle Fife, Michael Boardwine, and Randall Ruther. And I used a random number generator and came up with our winner. Michelle Fife wins the brand new sealed Fantastic Four World's Greatest Comic Magazine hardcover collection. So send me your contact information. I probably know it, but wherever you want me to send this collection, Michelle, just let us know and we'll get it over to you. And thanks for listening to every single episode and responding to all our trivias. It's always awesome to hear from him.
Also, we will accept Van Down by the River. If
as way to deliver it?
As a way to, as to where he lives. Just saying, there's no shame in it. Embrace it.
So
that's kind of messed up. Are you saying that
he's homeless? Are you saying he's a bum? A drifter?
I'm just saying, as fates,
because he's a comic book
as fates go,
cartoonist?
you can't do that much. Where you could do worse. Living in a van down by the river. Terrible.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Don't apologize to me.
Yeah. So Craig, what's our new question?
New question. All right. We'll be talking about this in a few minutes, but in Savage Dragon 198, a troll discusses all of the different beings existing underneath the Earth's surface. Two of the groups he mentions are the Warring Lava Lords and the Magmanites. In what comic title did the Magmanites first appear? So if you know where they first appeared, which title, send your response to SAVAGEFINCAST@gmail.com, and we will sing your praises on the next episode. One winner will be chosen of all the correct entries, and will get their choice of either the digest-sized version of Savage Dragon 190, the Larsen variant cover to Jersey Gods #5, or the Highbrow Universe Ashcan comic that came out, I believe, in the late 90s.
I feel like I actually know that one.
Well, keep it to yourself.
Of course.
So that's that. Write in.
Yes, please write in.
Yeah. We appreciate all the participation that we get. It is awesome.
And even if, just to add to that, even if you don't feel like participating in the trivia, you want to talk about something or discuss something that we talked about on the episode, write in anyway, and we'll read your letter on air. It's always, I always get a lot of enjoyment, hearing that people are listening and have opinions about things we say. It's pretty cool.
Like, comment, and subscribe. You can find us on YouTube.
Are you going to give the address or?
Oh, right. I think we figured out it was YouTube.
Just find us on YouTube.
YouTube.com/users
SAVAGEFINCAST.
I think there's a link on it at SAVAGEFINCAST.com, right?
Yes.
I may have actually forgotten to link it.
Damn it.
Well, there's a link on dragonfan.net as well. So
we'll get it to you somehow.
One way, we're going to get it to you.
Okay.
So,
Savage Dragon 198.
Oh boy.
Oh boy.
So good. I love this flashback.
Well, I love this cover. Well, I like it a lot.
You don't love it, though. You're not willing to drop the L-bomb.
Yeah, you were, but then you pulled back.
Yeah, yellow skies again.
Oh, I love that.
It's always sunset in Chicago, apparently.
I love that feedback completely disregarded. It's like, yeah, there are a lot of yellow covers. Fuck you.
It's almost like my complaint came well after the solicitation.
I like this cover a lot. It's got the minute I saw it, it had that Drag Me to Hell vibe. I'm like, that's a winner.
Yeah.
It's I like all the details in the hands. It's just
There's plenty of sweet blue sky action on the inside. Look at that. Look at that splash page. Look at that blue sky.
I kind of like this first page splash just because of how, mundane it is.
And the first page splash for the listeners, when it's Malcolm and
Angel
meeting
Maxine.
up with Maxine, and I think it's Malcolm's first time in this, right? Meeting Maxine.
Yes, it's their first meeting.
See, sparks flying, slow motion.
And they kind of hit it off and have a good chemistry, as you can tell. Reading the first couple of pages, it's really well written, I think. Good character development.
I think it does add a lot to their relationship, and it shows that there was something there for as long as they've known each other.
It's pretty funny. At one point, they were like the same size.
Yeah. Or like she even looks a little like taller almost.
I still prefer kid Malcolm physically to adult Malcolm, teenage Malcolm.
Well, you've got your scrawny dragon in the form of old man dragon.
Yeah, it's like they switch places.
If he just starts wearing flannel, you'll be set. Purple flannel.
I'll be set. Bam.
Hey, he's not wearing his purple flannel.
No, but it's still flannel.
He's rocking a purple backpack.
He is.
You can't wear a purple backpack with purple flannel. You look bizarre. This is good, though. I love the chemistry. I love their, romance. It's great.
They mentioned something about how Angel met MJ back in kindergarten. I recall someone mentioning that actually happened on panel at some point.
Yeah. If I forget what issue it is. If you go on the Dragon Wiki and you look it up, you can find out what issue it is. For the listener, that's the Savage Dragon Wiki. Just Google it, and you can look up every character. And Maxine's under her entry. There's a link to the issue, and there's actually a panel, and they're both like little like toddlers almost, I think.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
That's cool.
It's pretty crazy. Yeah.
That's
a nice little touch.
It is a very nice little touch. I will say they also kind of bring up that creep factor. How Maxine tells Angel that she'll keep her hands off of Malcolm because Angel has dibs.
Hey, they're not related. Come on. I'm just saying.
I always felt that was a little weird.
In a world where you've got shrink rays and space gods, your human morality it flies out the window. Come on. They've had experiences together.
It would have made more sense if they had forged a relationship before returning to the world while they were in Dimension X, because then they wouldn't really know what's going on outside. And
how do you know they didn't?
Well, they were really young. They were still 12 and 14 at the time.
I'm saying they went through some life or death situations. I feel like there could be some bonding there.
Well, most definitely. At any rate.
I like how this issue introduces more of Officer Chow kind of.
Yeah, you called it, Raven. This guy is definitely a character.
That lousy jerk. That flat top Magilla.
I do like how though you're starting to get more of a supporting cast, like a newer supporting cast. You're starting to kind of learn about these officers and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And Frank Jr. being more involved as an officer now, it's pretty nice.
Yeah, I do actually. I really, really like Frank Jr. thing, and it's also too. It's funny. It's a subtle kind of plot thread, but they really reinforce it here. It seems kind of like Frank's existence on the Force is tied to Malcolm's, and
I never really picked up on that, but you're right.
Yeah,
And
Captain Stewart's like kind of shady, huh?
Yeah.
Wasn't Frank working in a grocery store like 5 issues ago?
He was trying to raise that baby. He's a baby daddy.
So I actually completely missed the fact that he joined the Force.
Yeah. Yep.
So it's a really solid point if he's only on the Force because of Malcolm, because he's Malcolm's handler.
That's it.
You got to imagine his father was a sergeant too, and that helps. But yeah, I mean, he's rather young, and so I guess Captain Stewart said he pulled some strings to get him on, so he's kind of using that as his chip.
Let me just take a moment. Just a moment. I just want to really relish this. The bean.
Oh, yes, the bean.
I love that the bean is in this issue.
Yeah, it's a cool touch.
A long time ago, there was a thread on the forum that asked what we'd like to see more of in Savage Dragon. And one of the things I asked for was to make Chicago more of a city. More of a real city.
Yeah.
And I didn't really... It's not that I wanted, like, significant details, but it always felt like generic city because you never really see anything Chicago about it.
Right.
But seeing the bean is one of those things that just, helps show that this is a real city and there are things in it.
Yeah.
And that's actually like a real photo stat.
Yeah, that was something else I wanted to bring up. This actually looks like he took a photo and ran it through a Photoshop filter.
Or could have even put it on a Xerox, it looks like.
Yeah, which is a little unfortunate, but I can see why he did it.
I think it kind of looks cool.
I'm okay with it. I know that I'm like a really super big hypocrite because I hate the use of like Google SketchUp and stuff for buildings. I mean, I really do hate it. I hate that.
Yeah, and there's been a lot of artists relying on it very recently.
But
it's very, very distracting when you realize what they're doing.
I think the reason why I'm okay with it is because it looks like with the colorist, and one of the reasons I want to pause and drop props on this is because just the coloring, the use of the color on the city and stuff, I don't know, it's just excellent. That's just an excellent shot. I don't know.
Yeah.
I really dig it. I like the work that went into it. If you've ever been to the Bean or if you're ever in Chicago and you get to see the Bean, do it. It's a landmark, Yeah,
it's pretty fun, too, seeing your reflection in it.
It's weird. It shouldn't be fun, should it? It's nice.
Yeah. So I like this next scene in this comic, and it's the scene where, for the listeners, you open up to the double-page splash, and it's Malcolm punching out this troll, which we'll see later on. And he beats the crap out of the troll, and then he's like late for school. He throws the troll in the back of a paddy wagon and asks for a ride to school. He gets to school, and one of his classmates like, "Dude, you freaking reek," which I thought was hilarious. Like, it just shows Malcolm like smelling his armpit and being like, "Oh crap, I do,"
And then he turns into a giant and steps on the school.
He totally like just. He goes. Was he singing Wrecking Ball?
I love.
Yeah,
that is hilarious.
He goes home and takes a shower, shows him singing Wrecking Ball, and then kind of implies he just jumps back to school and he's got a new change of clothes and he's showered up. But I thought that was a good touch.
That is a hilarious gag. The whole like he stunk from fighting trolls. It's good. It's good stuff.
It's like that's never been addressed in comics. You figure, all these guys are like battling villains and stuff. They must reek at the end of like a battle or something like that,
Plus, too, he's a teenager, and I mean, not to be mean, my teenage bros, but BO's a real deal. At that age, it's it's a battle we all fought, and I'm just saying, he's a teenager and he's fighting.
But you're right. This is a very cool sequence just to get a little slice of life of Malcolm.
Yeah.
To how he's trying to juggle this. Helping the cops and going to school at the same time, and the sort of troubles that he gets into.
Right.
It's kind of thing you don't really see very often. And Erik does it in this, what is this, a 12-panel grid?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy little panels. I love it.
I think it's probably a lot easier to do that many panels when you're twice up in it.
Oh, sure. Yeah. I think he said something on Facebook that just 6 panels. So look
at the size of his normal with the old sheet, right? His old boards.
Right. So 6 of those panels would be the size of a normal issue. So you've got those other like 6 panels on the top and down the side. That's like all the extra space he has. So yeah.
I actually didn't really notice it first time I read it, but there are a lot more pages with a lot more panels. So he's definitely using the twice up to its full advantage.
Yeah.
It's good. The art in this one's good.
It is pretty good.
I'm part of the 2-up crew. I'm down with it.
I think everybody is after seeing these recent issues. How could you not be?
There's some hater out there. It's the internet. Somewhere there's a blog entry talking about it's irresponsible to draw 2-up. It's a damn
It's funny because it's true.
How dare he draw 2-up? Doesn't he know there's trees? The trees he's killing for some extra space. There's some bullshit. Someone out there hates it.
So I thought it was pretty neat, as we move along, there's, Captain Stewart and Frank Jr. are looking at this giant hole in the ground, which apparently used to be those big flaming fire pits that you used to see in the danger zone.
Right. With Kirby
the
dots
Savage
coming out of
world.
them.
Yeah. And now they've kind of been extinguished, and now they're trying to
Now they're just hazards.
Well,
right.
Nicely enough, even Captain Stewart says that was a pit that one of the demonoids came out, and we saw that in one of those flashbacks earlier.
Yeah, that's right.
It was a double-page spread, and the demonoids were coming out. That was where Malcolm saw Rapture get killed, I'm pretty sure.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Okay.
And then he was like, all right, Frank Jr., get your ass down in there.
It sure is risky you being on the force down in the hole, son.
Yeah. I gotta say that wasn't one of Frank's smarter moves.
Captain Stewart irresponsible as hell there, too.
Yeah. And it's just the two of them, apparently.
I like to, and then then you get the scene where this troll guy that Malcolm just knocked out is locked up, and he's screaming at the cops and telling them all about the ant people, and this hole is pushing out everybody, all the other underground dwellers, which took me by surprise because he names all the people down in under the ground. He talks about trolls, ant people, lava lords, magmanites.
What are groks?
Demonoids?
Groks
are those huge underground monsters.
They're the undersea ones. The Atlanteans use them.
Are they the big gray things?
Yeah.
Dragon crawled out of one's butt?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay.
They dig tunnels through the earth and connect the underground seas.
I remember correctly. The Atlantean was using them to tunnel holes all across the ocean so that he could have a huge empire, but he was stabilizing the Earth's core.
Okay.
And so Mako bit his head off.
They also talk about mole people, which I don't think we've seen.
Well, I think you can assume that if all these other things exist, mole people must exist.
Yes.
It's just a foregone conclusion.
Yeah, I don't think it's a stretch. I don't think we've seen them, but I don't think it's a stretch.
The fact that all these different creatures exist down there is just one of those interesting comic book things where you've got all these different comic books that all create all these unique underground dwelling creatures, and then you got your shared universe where all these creatures have to somehow coexist. And so Erik's doing that thing for Savage Dragon where he's got all these underground creatures, and so they're all trying to cohabitate and not doing very well.
I love the idea too that the troll's like, hey, look, we don't want to be up here. We hate the surface.
We hate the place.
Yeah. It's kind of like there's this underground war, and they don't want to be on the surface. They kind of don't have a choice. So that's such a great little twist on that, because so many times you see the underground people erupting up from the earth to conquer the surface, and it's just a nice little wrinkle that they kind of don't really want to be up there.
Right. Something's agitating them to come up to the surface.
Right. Poor misunderstood troll.
Internet troll, the potential is there. He should be on the internet at some point.
So there's another important scene that comes up in this book where Maxine basically has enough of her parents trying to set her up with Chinese boyfriends, and basically, runs away and leaves. Well, I guess she's old enough to move out. Well, she's in college now, right?
That's right. She's 18. She's over 18.
I love the yelling panel where her hair's up and they're all on their heels.
Yeah, that's like total Dagwood.
They're like, oh, that's great.
Blondie.
So it looks like she's sitting on Malcolm's steps and is gonna try to move in with him, I guess.
Well, that's her plan. She puts on the dramatic scene, and then she's gonna go move in with Malcolm.
Oh, I'm so excited.
Yeah, but we don't find. Well, we find that out now, but things don't go as well as she hoped. I imagine.
You gotta say that's love. I mean, wasn't a building thrown recently? Like, that wasn't where Malcolm lived, was it?
No, it was a different building.
I'm just saying, like, being around him, you're probably gonna die.
Yeah. How about this the double page spread in this issue towards the back? That's just Malcolm falling through that hole, and it's just a bajillion freaking creatures. So you see the demonites and the ant people and the trolls and the lava people.
Are the trolls the Viking guys?
That's the money shot.
That is the money shot. That is the woof. That's awesome.
Yeah, all the guys with the horns. They might be the demonoids because he's fighting.
No. There's the guys with the horns. Those are the demonoids. But if you look at the row above them, there's guys with like a winged helmet. And stuff.
The Viking.
Okay, those are trolls.
Yep.
They're probably like from Godtown. They're probably like cast-offs of some kind.
I don't know.
But
then you got your ant people, and then the very bottom you have all your lava lords.
So awesome. There's so much ass kicking going on this page.
I want to see like this is a double page spread on Twice Up, so it's super huge double page spread of this. I just want to see what it looks like, the original art.
Car door. I can't let go of the car door statement. Can you imagine just a car door full of art?
And I said it's the size of a car door.
Well, a double page spread.
Gotta imagine.
Huh.
I think you see the mole people in this too.
Yeah, they're in a background scene. They're
way at the top, kind of.
They're definitely mole man looking.
They have like a dragon on their level, like some kind of like red dragon.
Yeah.
So, because it looks like the ant people are spilling up from that most top layer. Then you got mole people with the little dragon. Then you got trolls. Then demonoids. Then lava lords or magmites or whatever.
Pretty awesome.
It's sick.
Such an awesome visual.
Oh, and Raven, you owe me like a Coke or something.
Oh, yeah?
No ant.
I know. Oh, wasn't it a steak dinner or something?
Steak dinner.
Did we make a steak dinner bet?
No, it was a gentleman's bet.
Gentleman's bet. All right. Well, I'll get you a Coke.
I could have got $1 million.
What kind of street value on that Coke? You want pure virgin snow, or is it okay if there's a little
New
yellow?
Coke.
Although I suppose we're not quite done with the encounter with the ant people yet, so
hey,
anything's possible.
It could still happen. I'm holding out.
My favorite sound effect shows up in this issue.
Is it Brappa-Lortch?
Hell yeah, Brappa-Lortch. One of the lava lords pukes volcano lava all over.
Lava barfing volcano people. I love Malcolm's super agility. Just bouncing around like a pinball, knocking the shit out of people.
Hits an ant and melts him.
just keeps going. It's good stuff.
So Malcolm's just bouncing around and he finds Frank Jr. I don't know how Frank Jr. has survived at this point, but
the ants had intense on him because they bound his wrists. So
yeah.
Luckily, Malcolm gives him the quick ticket out of there.
Yeah, he just tosses him up.
Yeah, I love that fix. Up you go.
I definitely love, and I think this is what Jim was kind of going to, referencing, is when Maxine is calling him while he's like covered in ant people, and he still manages to pick up his phone and talk to her. And she's what's that?
I was gonna say, yeah, they get a little conversation in, but then the signal gets lost, and Maxine. It ends on. Well, it doesn't really. Okay, the Maxine conversation sort of ends with her sitting on his steps, and the look she gives her phone isn't really one of concern. It's just kind of one of, I don't know. I can't even describe it.
All I want to know is I want to know what kind of cell phone service Malcolm has, because he's about 60 feet under the ground.
Yeah, it was a big hole. So maybe the satellite was passing over at that exact moment.
It's a Samsung Galaxy. It's got that good service.
But he loses. Well, does the phone get destroyed, or does he just lose signal?
He just loses signal, I'm pretty sure, because it's just like there's not really. I mean, I don't see the phone getting obliterated or anything. Although, hell, it could be falling out of his hand. He is gripping on to a collapsing wall there, so he could have dropped it.
Yeah, that's what I'm gonna go for.
And then the big money shot at the end of the issue, the dun dun dun.
Yeah,
giant demonoid.
Magnola monster.
Huge demonoid, much like the one from the early flashback. So,
is he similar?
I think he's in scale at least.
Right. Dragging him straight to hell.
So it's gonna be good. I love that the idea that there's just these demonoids. They just look like the things from the covers of rock albums.
Yep.
Like,
well, they're like Balrog types.
Yeah, like busty demon women.
Do you actually know that Danzig's little skull symbol?
Yes.
That was taken from a comic.
Was it?
Really?
Yeah. What was that Marvel? It was like a licensed character, like a crystal guy. What was his name?
Crystal.
Yeah.
Not Rom.
No, it was like an action figure type guy from like the early 80s.
Crystal Warriors?
Something like that. But there was a cover, and I forget who drew it. I'll figure it out by next Fincast or something, or in the forums. But Danzig lifted the skull off the cover, and it's like now Danzig's like logo.
Way to go,
yeah.
Glenn.
But he's a huge comic book fan.
I didn't know that.
But anyway, sorry, not to.
But see, he's a death metal musician, right?
Nah, he's more like heavy metal.
Heavy metal?
Death metal.
I thought he was more like a ska or soul.
Get out of here.
I don't know a lot about Danzig. Yeah, he had a cameo on Aqua Teen Hunger Force once. That's all I know.
You never read Glenn and Henry?
That was on the tip of my tongue. I was like, should I even mention that? I didn't know if it was going to make you be like, ugh.
Henry and Glenn forever?
Yeah.
No idea what you're talking about.
Craig, testify.
It's just about Henry Rollins and Glenn Danzig, which are like the most hetero guys, but they make a comic out with them to be homosexual, so it's pretty funny though.
But they're really loving, and in it,
like goofing on them, because they're the most they're both like pretty built guys back in the day, and pretty ripped, macho, like punk hardcore guys.
Danzig is most definitely the bitch.
Danzig's known for like starting the Misfits, which is a horror punk band.
Oh, okay. I'm vaguely aware of the Misfits.
And Henry Rollins is known for Black Flag, which was another like hardcore.
Okay, also slightly familiar with them. I'm not much into metal.
Oh, it's from the cover of Crystal Warrior. There's a skull on it.
Damn, no wonder he felt okay just using
Crystal Warrior number 8 by Marvel. If you look in the background, there's this like demon skull.
It was probably a licensed comic from Hasbro.
Yeah.
Good lord. Obscure.
Yep. So anyway, now that I've totally derailed this.
Vanguard.
So Michael Golden was the artist.
Speaking of obscure, Vanguard is back for another round.
Hey, before we get into that, the letters page on this brought up two pretty interesting things. On one of them, Benny Hassa wrote in and asked about the Seeker, and Larsen said that, he said, the Seeker will eventually resurface, promise. So that's pretty cool that, the Seeker is going to come back to the pages of Dragon at some point. Maybe we'll finally find out who it is, if it is anybody.
The big issue 300.
Yeah. And then another person wrote in, Drew Woodworth, and mentioned something about like an artist edition for Savage Dragon, like IDW does.
Right.
And Larsen says there's been talk about doing some kind of book reproduced directly from the original art, and chances are that will happen sometime next year. So
I'm sure you'll love it.
Pretty big news.
Yeah, that's kind of crazy, isn't it? artist editions, because yeah, I don't know. When you see Larsen art big, if you've ever had that luxury, it's just I don't know. It's pretty different. Like,
Do an art book of 198.
oh yeah, yes, car door sized book.
Yeah, that'd be insane.
Because you think the artist edition are supposed to be 1-to-1 reproductions.
They are, yeah.
So,
I have the Kirby one for New Gods, and it's the biggest book I own. It doesn't even fit in any of my
Huge
books.
children's coloring book.
It's just gigantic. When I got it in the mail, it was like the biggest package I've ever gotten in the mail. It was like insane. But anyway, let's jump into to this Vanguard backup because it's freaking awesome.
It is pretty good. We pick up immediately after where the last issue left off with all of the Tyrrhenian ships are failing because of the virus that's left in the atmosphere.
I thought the cool thing is we learned that, on Vanguard's way home with him and his crew, they've kind of bumped into about 100 or so Calyptons that they've rescued that were like out in space, I guess.
Yeah, that seems like a big detail they forgot to mention last issue.
They did mention he's like, oh, my people. So like I knew that the ships had his people in them, but yeah.
I love the second page of this backup. Like I guess it's almost like a spread. But it's got all the different Calyptons, and they all have different uniforms and different looks. Like one guy's got like a, robotic arm and eye, and
I like
one guy's a little heavy set. Yeah, some have beards, and they all have the different, like, I don't know if they're tribal symbols or what, but I thought that was a nice touch.
I like this layout. I really like the way that it's not quite a double page spread, but
right.
It's just cool. It's a good layout.
Yeah, it really is. So, I mean, I think the gist of this backup is Baracus, surprise, is challenging Vanguard on his leadership role. And
I always knew that guy was a bad egg.
Blaming, Vanguard's family for causing this whole mess with, the mechs kind of wresting control of the Calyptons and causing this genocide. And so, I don't know. I guess it's just more of a confrontation between Barak and, I guess the Calyptons are standing behind him versus Vanguard and his kind of crazy crew.
Well, the Calyptons are kind of hard on Vanguard because he surrounds himself with aliens and has sort of drifted away from his roots. And so they don't trust him.
Yeah, I think because, he's big in cahoots with Wally, who's a mech who they blame. The mechs for the big mess.
Right.
And he's got Lurch, who's also kind of a robotic being.
And Lurch is acting really weird. He turned into into Vanguard's sister, Kazi, which was really weird.
Yeah.
I had actually forgotten that Lurch had absorbed her so that they could find out intelligence details. So it sort of kind of makes sense that how screwed up he is, she crops up.
Yeah, right. And I think that's kind of an ongoing thing that we're going to see what's happening because he's absorbing all these people and seems to get locked into their personalities and traits. I think the other big thing, which, some readers might not realize, but from the Vanguard Strange Visitors miniseries from back in the 90s, that Amok, the big kind of Hulk-like guy with the green symbol,
right?
His race were enemies with the Calyptons.
Right, they were a slave race.
Right. So I think that's also probably part of it, he's aligning himself with former foes or whatever.
So Vanguard's clearly in the right with his multicultural ragtag team
of galactic guardians.
Yeah, with his group. We see a bunch of losers.
And Modem's really turned into kind of a cool hero from
I still wouldn't call her a hero. She's definitely self-interest motivated, I think.
I like how every time you see Modem, though, she's hugged up to someone.
But you think about this crew. Yeah, I mean, she's very I hear what you're saying, Raven. Always
Well, you got to remember Modem's background. She was a dumpy-looking woman.
Oh, yeah.
Until an accident turned her into what she is.
I'm hot.
So she's probably really into her body.
Yeah. I don't know. I like that progression.
I like all of Vanguard's crew, though, because you got Modem, who's kind of a former villain. You got Galen, who's not the nicest guy. He's kind of he's kind of a moody dude. You got Amok, who's just kind of like a dumb Hulk, kind of, you don't know, he could turn on a dime and
I trust him more than I trust Modem.
Yeah, it's just his whole crew is kind of like a ragtag bunch of not necessarily heroes, but just trying to survive.
Something else about this issue that kind of bugged me. I went back and I checked with the last month's installment. Apparently Roxanne has gone missing.
Right.
But at no point did I see her go missing.
Well,
she was there at the end of the last issue.
Were her and Wally the ones
they got zapped
together?
They vanished.
And
they got like beamed away.
Yeah, I'm double checking that. Away. I don't recall them being zapped away.
I'm like 9.
Yeah, okay. All right, now I'm seeing it. Positive. I guess I glossed over it.
But Vanguard doesn't really have time to worry about that, because the ships are crashing. He goes to rescue them. Then there's this mutiny, like, instantly. So, like, he just doesn't really even have time to...
I think what confused me was that Vanguard uses a teleportation device, and Roxanne and Wally disappear, but it shows the same flash on Vanguard, so I thought they all went together.
Yeah, it just shows Vanguard being like, where'd they go? I can't find them anywhere.
Right, okay, now I see it. Okay, I don't know how I missed that in the second read. Ah, well. that mystery's solved. Moving on.
Well, you always have funnies are always a welcome sight. I love them. I love this gold. And
yeah.
Vampire Snack Time wins my heart.
Scabs.
It's funny. That's just
eating a vampire eating a bag of scabs.
It's hilarious. That fourth panel really.
It's really into him.
Yeah. I've even come around on Night Watchman.
I still can't tell if it's being self-parody or not.
It's good either way.
Night Watchman is just running. I think we need to see Night Watchman already. It's a little slow.
It is surprising that he's not been in there.
It's Rex Morgan.
Oh Jesus.
It's hard. Well, what's very hard for it is the monthly pace. Like, for everything else, it's one-off, one panel, one gag. Misery Loves Sherman, it's like the gag is in those 4 panels. To do a continuing strip from month to month, that's hard.
I mean,
go ahead, sorry.
Weekly would be ideal.
Right. And I think this is like the Night Watchman. This one feels like one of those Sunday strips. Yeah. But you had like the black and white weekly to go along with it. So it's not as slow, Or daily black and white, I meant.
Crime Cook.
It doesn't make any sense. It's got dynamite in the cake, but it's also ticking, and he still manages to put it out with a glass of water.
I love it.
And there's still a pie mechanism inside the cake.
So why is the dynamite ticking?
That's what's so good.
It's like I said, I can't tell if it's playing itself straight or not.
No, there's no way. There has to be tongue in cheek. Your death day cake? Come on.
I mean, no. I mean, it's making the jokes, but it's also, like I said, it reminds me heavily of, like...
I think it's going for that Silver Age. Or
it's going for that
Batman vibe.
Yeah. I can't really describe what I'm trying to say, but it's like unintentionally descending into self-parody.
You think it's unintentional,
right?
I think it's intentional.
I don't know. I kind of like it now, just because of how goofy it is.
Well, I guess
I'm still on the fence.
I guess that was 198 in a nutshell. And, in the interest of keeping things rolling along, you guys ready to talk movie?
Let's rock talk.
Yeah.
Movie.
So.
I'm against
I think from what I've been able to piece together from what Eric has said, the movie's going to cover the initial Dragon versus Overlord conflict. presumably it's going to be Dragon wakes up in a burning field, runs into the vicious circle goons. They don't like him very much. They'll attempt to take out Overlord and get absolutely crushed. And I wonder if they'll do the spire impalement.
That would be the craziest ending for a movie.
Well, no, I think that would be a good second act break.
Yeah.
Have him get impaled, and then I can't remember, but does he get found by Cutthroat and Hellraiser, and then get the shit kicked out of him?
Yes, he pulls himself off the spire, lands in the snow. It's like a bunch of dogs come or something.
Yeah, basically he gets all of his. Well, isn't that also the part where he gets caught by Debbie Harris's mother and thrown into a smokestack?
Yeah, after he's all like beat up,
right?
Punches him up.
I don't believe Eric's going to do anything with the Fiend in this movie, so I think he could just get beaten up to the point where they still have to break all of his bones.
What do you guys think about? I know Eric kind of, I think in his Twitter or Facebook said, skip over the origin. Sometimes you just don't need origin. What do you feel about that? Like, if you're going to see a Dragon movie, you know nothing about Dragon.
We didn't need an origin for 15 years.
Mm-hmm.
So the movie-going public doesn't need an origin, I don't believe.
Can I tell you guys how I would play it?
All right.
I put a lot of thought into this.
That's what this section's about.
Post-credit scene.
I would change Dragon's origin. Not very much, but a little bit.
Okay.
I would not make him an emperor of the Krylons. I would make him a Krylon still, but what I would do is make him like a notorious Krylon criminal. So that way he's a criminal, he's the worst of the worst, and then on the flip side he becomes a cop. So
I think make no mention of the Krylons at all and just run it like the original series did. Have him just wake up in a burning field, and that's his origin.
But this is how I would play it, because I wrote it out for you guys. I would give it about 2 minutes of origin time in the opening.
Okay.
And what I would do is...
You can't. You have to start the movie Dragon in a burning field. That's the iconic shot. You can't do
I don't know. I don't agree with that.
You can't do it.
Let me just go through it. You could still disagree. Let me go through it. Okay. Right before the opening credits, the movie starts. It shows a chained up cur in front of a Krylon judge. It's very alien. They're not on a spaceship or anything like that. Judge is reading his rap sheet. It's an insane list of theft, murder, battery, whatever. It's in an alien language, so you just see the subtitles. And he's handing him a sentence. And we know the Krylons are kind of pacifists, so he gets the worst sentence he could get. It's a mind wipe and extradition to a remote primitive planet. Okay, so that little scene, whatever, how many, make it 2 minutes or whatever, and then cuts to the credits where you just have, the music playing over credits, and there's a montage of events going on, showing a Krylon engineer, using a computer and selecting Earth as a planet, show them setting up the equipment and clearing, Kerr's memory and pumping Earth radio and TV feeds into his head, showing, and even those feeds might show like vicious circle acts on the news or something like that, and then show him get loaded into a small ship and, rocketed out into light speed. Next montage kind of just shows it coming in from light speed and into like right around the Earth's space. Flash of light engulfs Kerr, and it implies that he's getting beamed down to Earth. Opening credits end. Now, and I know you don't disagree.
All completely unnecessary.
Now, skip to after the opening credits. Now it's a TV broadcast. A reporter discussing a threat of the vicious circle, and Chicago just becoming a dump. Zooms out of the broadcast, and you see it's a TV mounted to the wall in the Chicago police station. Can have like Frank and Alex and William Johnson or whatever looking all beat up and worn out, and then a call comes in about a burning field and a possible body where they rush off. That's how I envision it. I know it sounds like you disagree or whatever, and I'm sure a lot of people disagree, but I feel like if people that don't know Dragon, they need some kind of origin. And I know Eric hates it and stuff like that, but
or Dragon's origin is he's found with amnesia in a burning field. That's literally all you need to do Dragon. You don't need to know where he came from or why. It's unnecessary information. if I was going to do an opening, I would do a close-up with like a flame, fire, and then I would do the credit sequence with various shots of the field on fire, and then when the credits end, you start the camera like really close up on Dragon's face, and then you slowly pan out so you see him in the fetal position in the burning field, and then you see the cops, Frank and the other cops, arriving, and you cut immediately to the hospital scene.
Right.
That's how I do it.
I don't know. I just feel like there's got to be something that makes him stand out. Like make him like the worst of the, like show that he was a villain, and now, with his mind wiped, he's like a hero. I don't know.
I think that information is only important if we were into like the third movie and you did an adaptation of Emperor Kerr, then you do the origin story to set it up.
Yeah.
My 2 cents, I think that unless you're going to have space somehow play a part in the movie itself,
right,
or who he was before his mind was wiped be a part of the movie itself, I think for the movie to be thematically all on one thing, I think it's probably better. I see where you're coming from, Craig, and I do think that if they want to do the origin, I think it's tough. It's a tough call because you got, Joe Blow expects his first superhero movie to have an origin. That's just what they expect. Even Hellboy, who's not much of a superhero, Hellboy's first movie had an origin. And I think that really helps people understand a character. I think they want it.
But that origin comes straight out of the first Hellboy story.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
It's a little bit more embellished, but it's there.
That's what I'm saying, though, is it's kind of one of those things where it's like it is tough because for me, Dragon had an anti-origin, which, at the time, Wolverine was one of the few characters who had an anti-origin. Oh, you just didn't know his past. It seems like then after a while there was a ton of dudes who, you just don't know his past. Dragon's not knowing his past, it never stopped me from enjoying the character. So I think it's possible to have it be like, because it was part of his character initially is he just wanted to know, what his deal was or where he came from or whatever else. I mean, he comes out of the scene, there's freaks everywhere, but for some reason he's just kicking ass, freak ass. So even amongst freaks, if you write him off as just another freak, for some reason he's got this X factor that makes him better.
Right.
It's interesting, but at the same time, I don't really know. I guess I'll just be the I don't know side of the fence because I think Joe Blow public needs an origin. And I think, like Craig said, you could knock it out in 2 minutes and be done with it.
Well, I'd say if you have to put in some origin nugget, cut it like I said, and then at the after credits, toss it in as a way to like pull the rug out from under your audience. Go, oh, he was an alien the whole time. How weird is that?
I think that could work. I mean, it's one of the things. Why not just marry the ideas and I don't know.
I don't think the movie can start with anything else except Burning Field. You literally cannot do anything else. That is the iconic money shot. The entire movie, the entire franchise is built around. It always comes back to that Burning Field every single time.
It is true that it's an iconic shot for this character. I do also think that part of the character not knowing where he's from, I think it's rough because for me, Dragon not knowing his place in the world and wondering where he's from and stuff, if we as the audience know where he's from and his place and it never goes anywhere, I think it kind of changes the dynamic of his trying to find a place a little bit.
Right.
I mean, as far as, okay, here's the thing, like narrative-wise, if that is his character, and initially it was, and he finds his place as like a on the street, police officer or whatever, storyline-wise, you're going to have to somehow, if you're going to throw that intro out there, you're going to have to throw a bone back to the audience so that they can have some sort of closure. Right.
And then you can tease it through the whole movie where Dragon's trying to find out his origins, but he never really finds it. And then you throw the after credits on to the audience so they have closure.
I tell you, I'm hot and bothered over this PG-13 thing. I got to say.
How are we going to see any dongs?
My whole thing is this. Dongs. My whole thing is this. It's like, okay, even if you cut out bad language and naughtiness, cool.
Well, Guardians of the Galaxy taught us you can say shit like 50 times.
I was impressed. I was surprised. They said shit. They said bitch. Whore.
So, how many times can we get away with saying Jesus?
Is your argument that you want to see it rated R?
Oh, most definitely.
I absolutely want to see it.
We got to see those fists go through the heads.
I tell you, here's my thing. I'm going to take you back to when I was a first-time reader. I'm flipping through Savage Dragon the first time. The thing that flipped my shit, that let me know I had something special, something different.
That I can't tell your parents about.
Here was a book that had the balls to portray superhero antics in a realistic fashion. Meaning to say that when, think of even all the Marvel movies that have happened so far, largely bloodless. They fought an alien invasion, and yeah, the aliens bled, but it's not red blood. They're about to fight an army of Ultron robots in the second movie. That's going to be a largely bloodless movie. I'm saying that when Savage Dragon hits the screen, if you don't have Cutthroat and, what was the other guy, Killraiser, whatever?
Yeah, Hellraiser.
Hellraiser. If you don't have Cutthroat and Hellraiser,
slashing the shit out of
Dragon passing out in a thing full of blood. And I just that shit let me know that the stakes were high. This is a really horrible situation that this character is in. These guys don't punch you in the face and laugh and run away. You haven't stopped me this time. I don't know. I'm just saying, it's amazing how...
I see what you're saying, but I just don't see how studios are going to go for it. I would rather see an R movie, but when you think about merchandising and all the other trends of superhero movies, I find it probably impossible. I hate to
bring it up again, but Dread 3D did it.
Yeah, but I think it's totally different. He's not like a superhero.
He's an action hero. He kills people.
But how did it do in the theater?
Well, it's been doing absolute gangbusters on home video.
Here's the thing. I realize that studios have lost their balls. TV is where the gritty content comes from, and that movie studios don't do that.
Fuck yeah, AMC and HBO puts them all to shame.
Bingo. And it didn't used to be that way. The small screen didn't used to be where you got your gritty, real content. It used to be the silver screen. Now it's the reverse. I get that that's the way it is. But you want to talk about, I think, a crazy move. Somebody mentioned the difference between a budget for Super versus a budget for Guardians of the Galaxy. All right, that's true. But you want to stand out from the crowd. Marvel already has the market cornered on large, mass appeal, bloodless, superhero antics. I think you want to fucking really toss the dice. Go the other way, shoot for that R rating, not for anything language or sex-wise, just do the violence right. Do the violence right, and I think that it will really have that impact with people. That this isn't like your Green Goblin cackling over Aunt May, say it, it's just, I'm not down on that.
I think you're on the right track.
I'm just saying, you want to stand out from the crowd, not blend in when you're trying to make an impression.
Real quick, Craig, you got to go?
Yeah, but in the interest of time, let's talk about just casting real quick.
Yeah, you guys have any casting ideas? I have no idea who should play Dragon. Everybody who could have done it 20 years ago is old or dead.
I say, and it probably wouldn't happen because he's kind of in too many things now with Mad Max and everything and Bane, but Tom Hardy has got the build and kind of got the look, I think, that could pass for...
Let's see what he does in Mad Max Fury Road. Then I'll get back to you.
Dwayne
also
Johnson.
The other guy. Who? Yeah, I could see that.
Did you say Dwayne The Rock Johnson?
The Rock.
No, well, let's see how he does as Black Adam.
He's funny and he's buff.
I don't know. I think he could do it, but my worry is it'll be Batista.
No,
that's my worst case
scenario. He can't act.
Not
he
handsome.
Can't act.
Rock is handsome.
Yes, but he's suddenly his stock has gone up a lot since Guardians of the Galaxy. So
but he can't act good enough to carry over.
I agree. That's what I'm saying. He's probably not. He's not the good choice. But I almost fear that if this got greenlit tomorrow, he'd be our Dragon.
Ooh.
I think you need to have someone with acting chops that can be a witty, kind of wisecracking, convincing.
Dwayne Johnson.
Yeah.
If you want a wrestler, I want Mako to be Ryback.
I don't even know who that is.
He's a current WWE wrestler. He's got the physical body build for Mako. You just CG a shark head and some bigger shoulders on him, and he moves like Mako does. He behaves like Mako does.
Oh yeah.
What about Overlord?
Well, he could be anybody. You get a older.
I disagree. I think you go for one of those mafia type actors, like a Frank Vincent, someone older, William Forsythe or something like that.
I'm gonna get crazier. I'm gonna say pure CG and get some awesome voice in there, like Pacino or something.
Yeah,
well,
I
that's
don't know.
what I was thinking. Yeah, do a mocap suit, maybe do some practical effects when. Well, he never takes the mask off, but close-up shots with the eyes. Yeah, but I
bet you in a movie like this, they'd get a good actor and probably take the mask off.
Yeah.
Well, there's your problem. Is that.
So in that case, you could.
But I don't think it's a problem. I think like comic book fans always get so in a huff about people taking their masks off.
I
think Dredd is fine because Dredd never.
Carl Urban is like the greatest actor just for that alone.
But I think when you got a good actor, you have to see facial expressions. You have to. I mean,
but
most of your audience are not comic book readers.
Right, but Eric does that with the Overlord armor, where you can see the crazy eyes right through the mask. So
but you won't be able to see that in a movie.
You do a few close-up shots of the crazy eyes, and we get shot in the mouth.
Well, any other casting decisions you guys want to throw out there? We know the ladies he confirmed were in the film. Any ideas on them?
Well, I've suddenly got thinking maybe Zoe Sladina would be a good Rapture.
Yeah, I can see that.
You know who that is, right, Raven?
No.
Oh, she's the one who plays Uhura in Star Trek, and she was Gamera. I just realized that she was Gamera in Guardians of the Galaxy. I actually did not realize that until like literally 10 minutes ago.
She's smexy.
Yeah.
I'd say Alex, Ava Mendes, or Michelle Rodriguez.
Well, those are the easy choices.
Yeah.
Because they're the Hispanic.
What would you say for Frank?
Ooh. God, that's hard.
Carl Winslow.
I think I would have said Danny Glover, but now I think he's too old.
Yeah.
Carl
But
Weathers.
I think you could go with somebody that might not look like him comic-wise and say like Lawrence Fishburne or Denzel Washington.
Yeah, I would like that.
I don't know. I think they're a little bit. I don't know. I don't want to say they're too big of stars to play the role.
Well, Frank needs to be a really commanding presence. He's a father figure in those early days.
Right.
So he's really got to be. I mean, he steers this guy that could be another destructive force towards good. So you really need somebody who's going to bring it as an actor.
James Earl Jones.
And maybe as Captain Stewart. Get down in that hole, Frank Jr.
So, should we just wrap this up then?
It's probably a good idea.
Let's do it. Savage Dragon 199. Malcolm Dragons transformed into a hideous freak.
Wrong.
Honk, you read the wrong one.
What?
He sent you an updated email.
No, when? He said wrong. He just said wrong. I thought that sounded like issue 197, but I was just rolling. Updated. Okay. Dick and balls. My God. Okay. Here we go. Savage Dragon 199. Countdown to issue 200 reaches its pentultimate issue. Malcolm Dragon tackles the deadly demonoids. It's an all-out underworld war as the lava lords, ant menaces, and demonoids battle it out for world domination. And whoever wins, we lose. The surface world is on fire, and the son of Savage Dragon is in over his head.
Pentultimate?
Pentultimate.
Yeah, I think you threw a T in there.
It is my pentultimate issue. I gotta say, this one's gonna be all splashes.
It's gonna be all double page splashes.
Oh,
just to clarify.
Sweet like candy.
I will be very curious as to what he does with that. If they're all going to be actual splashes, or if he's going to do really interesting like movement through big panels.
Oh, I'm excited! I can't wait.
Time will tell.
I can't wait. I'm excited.
It is. Yes.
200 right around the corner.
Yeah, we're going to have it by November. Well, wait, it's September. October. Yeah, we might have 200 by November.
Guys,
sounds like all the backups are pretty much done or close to it. I know people have been working on it for a while, so
you know what? I can't wait. I can't wait to see all the people who suddenly pour out of the woodwork saying, "Oh shit! You know what, guys? I'm starting this right now. Listeners, please, I'm going to start a trend. I want this to happen. So just it's never too soon to mention it. When Savage Dragon 200 comes out, let's try to get a Twitter trend going with the hashtag, I was thinking SD200.
That's short
That's
enough.
good to me.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm going to mention it again. You know, we've got one more podcast. I'm going to have it up on Dragon Fan, but I would love when that issue hits for that hashtag to trend. So
That would be pretty sweet.
please help us make that happen. Whenever the issue hits, obviously.
Hashtag.
So, yeah, that's it. That was my thought.
Cool. So that's a wrap, huh?
That's a wrap.
Gentlemen, pleasure as
Thanks
always.
for listening. It was a swell time.
It was a smashing time.
But all times must come to an end.
Thanks a lot, everybody.
All right, thank you.
The Savage Fincast is a member of the Gutter Trash Podcast Network, which can be found at guttertrash.net. The Savage Fincast is part of the Comics Podcast Network, which can be found at comicspodcast.com. Also, find us on YouTube at youtube.com/user/SavageFincast.